I want to use the word odd to describe this film.
The trailer set the bar too high.
Basically what I'm trying to say is I didn't like it.
I thought that, but that's in Dick and Dom and the Bungalow film.
Controversial ending.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cinematic Trinity, the podcast where we delve into the worlds of TV shows, movies and video games. This time we are talking about 28 Years Later, the new Danny Boyle, Alex Garland sequel to the 28 Years, 28 Weeks saga. So we're going to be giving you our brief thoughts, we're going to be going into some spoilers and of course talking about that divisive and controversial ending. So, Tulip and Kieran,
we're here as well.
You are indeed.
Hello.
So obviously this is a sequel to films which have already come out, to 28 Days and 28 Weeks. So you two, when did you first watch those movies?
So, I mean, I watched the 28 Days Later like a day before we all watched 28 Weeks Later together. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's the first time I'd ever seen it. Like, I never watched, like, I'd obviously heard about the films. I knew practically nothing about them except for like a couple scenes that maybe have been used in like memes across the years.
I don't know. Is it a very meme-worthy?
Not very meme-worthy.
I don't know
but
if it's a meme, but there's been a lot of talk about it recently, obviously, because of the new film.
The scene I have in my mind is of Cillian Murphy waking up and seeing his penis.
It's not really a meme.
It's not a meme, but it's like a funny thing to have out of context. Like within the context of the film, it's like fair enough. He's in a hospital. He was in a hospital gown. He would be like that makes sense for the setting. Yeah. But not knowing that that's what the film is from, and then just seeing like a 5-second clip of Cillian Murphy getting out of bed and it's just his penis there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, so that's the experience I had with 28 Days Later before having watched the films. So you know, to find out there was a whole film after that as well.
Oh wow! What a treat!
You know, I was already quite content. But, but no, I think the atmosphere of the first one is like really good. It has like a very good opening, and it's people being stupid, but in a way that's very believable.
Yeah.
Like I could see, 100% that would happen if some activists went in and tried to break out a load of monkeys.
Yeah. Bloody activists say what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 2 censors we've got to do.
Bloody is not a word.
Come on.
Yeah.
What are you censoring from me? Penis. It's an anatomical word. I'm going to bring it up later. I'm going to be mentioning penis later.
Worse words that Kieran could say.
That is the anatomical term for what I am referring.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, every other term I could use would be worse. So.
Okay. Okay. Let's not have a debate over which word we're going to use.
That's fine.
You decide in the comments below.
But yeah, like I really enjoyed that film, and you know, obviously seeing like a couple of names in there that, well, Christopher Eccleston and
Brendan Gleeson.
Seeing them, having watched them in other things, and then being able to appreciate them in this, which was like, you know, quite, well, probably not early on in their careers, but early on in my life.
Yeah, it's definitely
a long time ago.
They definitely weren't as mainstream though, compared to where they are now.
Yeah.
So that was like quite a, you know, an interesting thing to watch, and they were both really good in it.
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, the whole cast in the first one was really good.
Oh yeah, it's top notch, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. The second one was good, but then like had more things that I didn't enjoy as much in it. Like it didn't recapture the energy of the first in a lot of places. So
yeah. I think the word that I'd use to describe the very first film is unsettling. I've never ever felt that unsettled by like a scary film, you know, like apart from when I watched The Woman in Black, that's probably the only thing that's unsettling. You always laugh at me for that.
It's just funny because like 28 Days Later, 18 rated film, Woman in Black, 12A. But no, I can agree.
Honestly, sometimes things just hit you in a certain spot, and The Woman in Black always did hit me in that certain spot of like spookiness, but 28 Days Later it really, really unsettled me, and I can't ever remember watching it like growing up or when I was younger, but we went to see it in the cinema when they re-released it recently, obviously to promote the 28 Years Later film. And seeing it in the cinema at 9 o'clock at night and then having to get in the car and drive home from the cinema in the pitch black, that was an experience in and of itself,
Yes.
having just seen that film.
And like you were saying about the opening, I completely forgot it was about monkeys in the beginning, but I did have to, like, when that came on, I was like to Tulip, I said, this isn't a film about zombie monkeys.
Yeah.
Like, it's just this scene.
I mean, I knew
and
it wasn't about zombie monkeys, but I didn't know the monkeys at the start. And I didn't really know the plot of the film at all. Like, I had absolutely no idea what happened. And seeing it in that way and having that experience was actually a really, really good experience, I think, of going to the cinema. Like, I'm glad that we just went to watch it. And it's weird because you enjoy it and you appreciate it, but also it's like, that could happen. This is in the UK. When things are based in the UK, it just makes it all the more, and it was so realistic. Like, even though it's like, obviously, hopefully that would never happen, but you never know, it just felt also realistic and like visceral, you know, that it was like, it was very very unsettling.
Now, the first film is brilliant, as you say. There's a few moments in there, like when it's the mansion scene, it's like the flash of lightning and it's the zombie behind the glass, like that's like, gets to you. And then when he goes to the church and it's when he says hello, and then it's the two zombies get up, it's like it's just like them being still, like that was really like, I just did not like that. But no, it's very good. It's like, obviously you see stuff that comes afterwards. Obviously it's like running zombies as well, so kind of like was one of the first major films to do that. And like as well, I feel like every good zombie story has a good human element to it, which I feel the first film is definitely really good at, is like human evil versus like zombie evil.
Yeah.
You know, like the two different factors with like Christopher Eccleston, like in his part like group in that movie.
Yeah. We won't go into it too much. We don't want to spoil
No. But then like second film we watched together. It was on Netflix again, obviously in the run up to this film, and it was all right. We definitely the logic is a bit skewed here and there, like kind of to get the plot moving. Like characters make stupid decisions, or it's like, how did X person get to this place, or you know, again, not major spoiler, but why
unrealistic.
Yeah, why are they putting all the civilian people in this garage when like that's just everyone gathered in one place for the zombies to just, if one person gets attacked, everyone's screwed basically. But there's some good action set pieces there. Again, it's like interesting seeing like the UK in this quarantine and like the USA stepping in and like trying to, because like when it gets to the sterilization or like Code Red scene, like you're like, I could see why they just do that, you know, but on the whole didn't hit as well. Obviously has a really good opening scene, like that's the one thing I knew about 28 Weeks Later, was that everyone says the beginning 10 minutes is really good and then the rest of the film, take it or leave it kind of thing. But on the whole, I think as a series it's quite good. The 28 series, as people call it, which is weird. Well, obviously because it's 20.
Real?
Well, it's 28 days, 28 weeks.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call it series. 28 series.
Yeah,
would you?
yeah.
That seems a bit
28
silly.
trilogy.
Well, it's not even that anymore, is it?
This is the new trilogy. I remember, even if you just call it 28 Days series.
Yeah, that's what I would probably call it. But I've heard a few people, I think even like Alex Garland or Danny Boyle says the 28 series.
Oh, right. That's weird. Yeah.
There's not much more they can do, because obviously you've gone days, weeks, years. You're not going to go decades, centuries.
I mean, that would be
millennia.
cool.
Nah, it gets to, I don't know. I don't want to see space zombies. Yeah.
Space zombies. That's not going to be it.
So to get into 28 years, though, the little synopsis for this film is that obviously it's 28 years later, after the rage virus has taken over the UK. Film follows Spike. He's our lead character. He's this kid who's been raised on, I think it's called the Holy Island. It's basically this like offshore settlement which is like divided from the mainland by, is it a causeway? So obviously when it's high tide, no access at all, but when it's low tide you can go to and from.
Similar to
Woman in Black.
The Woman in Black.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Because that's the same thing as...
It.
I can't believe that. Did you not watch it at school?
Too young.
They did. I think one of
we did it. We did the book.
I watched
for
it
GCSE English.
I think I watched it in drama in school.
Did Mice and Men and Animal Farm. They were my English.
Oh no, we did Woman in Black and
so Woman in Black wasn't a book we did. I don't know why we watched it, but in like I think it's just a drama. I think it was like, oh, kids just gonna put Woman in Black on. I think it's a play. That's probably why we watched it. In drama. But
anyway,
yes, same as Woman in Black.
Same as Woman in Black.
So it follows Spike. film initially is this like him going out training on the mainland, and then it does escalate to him going on this like adventure to the mainland to go find a doctor for his mum.
Ralph Fiennes.
Ralph. Well, yes, his mum isn't Ralph.
His mum,
His
The
mum's-
doctor.
Yeah. Dr. Kelson is his character name. So yeah, that's like his journey. Obviously, it's just the infected and all that. He runs into different roadblocks as the film goes on. So general thoughts. Coming out of the cinema, I would probably say we didn't know what to make of this movie.
No, we didn't. And I think it's weird because it is literally like two films, even though one film is 2 hours and 25 minutes and then the other film is 5 minutes. But it just completely changes your perspective of said film that you've just been watching, and when we get into spoilers it will all become a little bit more clear as to what I'm saying. That's my riddle of what I'm saying. But yeah, I think I was watching back when we were editing the last podcast for the Salt Path, the thing that we started by saying was this was an odd film, and now I kind of take that back because I want to use the word odd to describe this film, because I think it was just a little bit odd in some of the things that happen, but also the beginning section, or the first kind of section of it, was really, really good. I was really enjoying it, and then second section I was like, okay, this is okay, but a little bit triggering for me personally, and then towards the end it was just like, oh my god, what on earth is happening? So it's a real wave of emotions, I think, watching this film. It's very like, you know, what's going on, but there were a lot of bits that I did enjoy, and a lot of the plot that I did enjoy, and I can see why they've made it as well. Like, it's not like they're just making another film but actually they haven't really got anything to say. Like, at least they've got things to say, you know, whether you kind of resonate with those things is another story. But I thought that there was a lot of interesting things, and yeah, odd, interesting, enjoyable at times, really good performances. So yeah, it's a bit of everything.
What do you think, Kieran?
I just think it's another, like, one of those films that I watch and I go, did I enjoy that? I don't really know. There were parts that I did enjoy, as you say, like the first part I feel like was the strongest element of the film.
Yeah.
The bit where like Ralph Fiennes?
Fiennes?
Is it Rafe Fiennes
Is
as
it
well?
Rafe? No,
Yeah,
I
think
said
it's
Ralph,
Rafe,
and then I was like, no, I don't know why I said Ralph.
Rafe Fiennes.
Yeah,
Rafe
Rafe Fiennes.
Where he shows up, I like that segment. Like, well, part of that segment I liked.
Yeah.
But overall, it's just it's another weird one. I don't like comparing it to how the first one was, specifically just the first one, with the atmosphere you had in that. It's a shame that wasn't transferred throughout the rest of the films. I feel like this one was more action oriented. You didn't really have the horror vibe, or I didn't get the horror vibe from it.
Yeah, it's not a horror film.
I probably would have said in terms of the emotions it tried to get from you, I don't think for us it works. Like, I don't think we were scared when we were meant to be scared, or like sad when we were meant to be sad. Obviously, I say too, a bit triggered you a bit, but you weren't like bawling your eyes out and being like, this is a beautiful moment.
It was in a different way.
Yeah, that's the kind of sadness they're going for, is like, oh, this is beautiful and like heartfelt. And then, yeah, it just, some bits of humour don't land. There's a few bits that do, don't get me wrong. Some bits are funny, especially like Rafe Fiennes, what he does. But like, yeah, especially the ending, which we'll talk about, that completely tonally shifts away from the rest of the film. Sorry, Delilah is digging, so you might hear that in the background. It's like Delilah's doing a little like transcript with the digging, like some sort of Morse code, because when you talk with her, she was just getting faster with the... So yeah, I mean, you've got Rafe Fiennes is Dr. Kelson, Aaron Taylor-Johnson is Jamie, Spike is Alfie Williams, and then Jodie Comer is Isla. So that's like the four main characters of the film.
The main cast.
But I feel, you know, on the whole, everyone did a decent job. I think when we came out, Aaron Taylor-Johnson could have been in it more. I really liked him.
I
thought he was going to chase him down.
Yeah, I was devastated that he wasn't in it much, and he deserved to be in it, because actually the performance that he gave was really, really good. I think that he was really good. I think he was actually the best for me, like, in the film. I think like the best performance. Yeah, really. I don't know why.
I think it's one of those things, like Rafe Fiennes, I don't think he can do any wrong. I feel like whatever he's in, like, he's good.
Classic.
Yeah, like you know, you're in for a good time. I don't think he's ever really done a bad performance that we've seen. I think Alfie Williams as Spike, like again, like if that's going to be one of your first big films, like he did a really good job, like playing Spike.
Yeah, I mean, no. What I was about to say was that is very high praise from you because I know that you despise child actors.
Yeah.
One of his pet hates.
In terms of child actors, you know, he did a good job.
He was certainly better than, bless her, the child actor or teenage actress in the first 28 Days Later because unfortunately...
she was very wooden.
Oh, bless
Ironically,
her.
in that film when she started doing drugs, she
Yeah!
she became a lot better at acting.
Yeah,
I agree.
she did.
Not the actress doing drugs, the character doing drugs.
Yeah.
But like at that point, like I thought, oh, she's actually like she can act. It's probably because they said like they probably gave her direction, oh, you got to be like a really boring girl, and then she was just, I'm just gonna talk.
Yeah, I wonder if she just had a little bit more freedom when they were like, oh, you know, just act like you're a little bit, you know, feeling a little bit silly, you know, not as bothered, you know. I wonder if that is like a direction thing.
Who knows,
interesting.
Early 2000s zombie film, I'm sure, like like, you know, there's obviously good kid actors before that, you know, but they're probably going to be like, it's a zombie film, like, you know, do whatever. It's fine. You're not going for like an Oscar-worthy performance. Whereas like in this film, it kind of feels like they are going for that a bit.
Well,
I feel like there's more pressure. I think there's more pressure on the child actors now to actually do good acting, you know?
Like, it's your first step, isn't it? Like, if you do good in this film, then everyone's going to be like, oh, we need that kid, the one who played
like
Spike.
the person from Adolescence. I can't remember what his name was, or I can't even remember what his name was in the show. But like him, like everybody's waiting to see what he's going to do next. Could you imagine if he just completely dipped out and he just never did anything ever again? That wouldn't surprise me. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Shame.
But yeah, performance wise, I think everyone did a good job here. There's not. I really want to get into spoilers because that's where we talk about the meat
it's
of the
difficult to talk about it without talking spoilers.
I mean, I'd certainly say, like, I remember when I logged into TikTok and stuff, it was literally, this is the worst film I've seen, or this film's really good. Like, it was so mixed, and I was like, oh, great. Like, what the hell is... We were saying it before we went in. It's like, I don't want this to be disappointing. I want to fall into that minority, majority, whatever it is, of people who think this is the best film ever kind of thing.
We didn't want to come out and be negative about it. We wanted to be positive about it. And I don't think we came out of it feeling like, oh, that was awful. But it's just like, you know, am I allowed to enjoy this? You know?
You think, because it had its moments as well, like the zombie stuff as well. I feel the look of the zombies and what they do, the evolution of the virus is cool, like in some ways. And obviously, like the look of the zombies is cool. And like you do, for when they are on screen, like you do feel the threat. Like obviously there is the tension there, not as much as 28 days or 28 weeks even. But the zombie stuff here is cool, I would say.
I think there's some good set pieces still.
There are, definitely. But on the whole, this is such a hard one to score. Because I feel like we've done like, I don't want to do 3 episodes in a row where we've given average scores to things. But it is such a hard one.
I might say a 7.
I was debating a 7.
Oh no, we can't go the same again.
Maybe we should follow through with our promise in the first episode, and I'm going to use the Kieran score system and use a facial expression of Kieran being like...
No, it wouldn't be that. It'd be...
Yeah.
I mean, what would it be, Kieran? Okay.
So what if you could score it, what would you score it?
6.
Okay.
Yeah, 6, 7.
It's kind of like, it's not like the most mid film that I've ever watched. There were bits that I enjoyed in it. There are like performances that I enjoyed in it. The setting is nice. I liked parts of it, but it wasn't revolutionary. It wasn't, like, didn't give me the fear or like the real kind of sense of tension that you had in the earlier films. Like if I were talking like 28 Days, that's more like an 8-9.
Yeah.
This doesn't, when you have that comparison, this doesn't reach those kind of levels. Yeah,
I again, people are entitled to their opinion, but I couldn't see why you'd put this above 28 Days.
Definitely.
Like maybe put it above 28 weeks, so that's fair enough.
Yeah.
You could probably try and decide which one of those is better, but I think 28 Days set the bar really high. I think for this, maybe I would, to be a bit more generous, maybe I would go for a 7, because it's like, again, I feel like a well-made film, well-performed. Story on the whole was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Can't really pick many flaws with it, but yeah.
Can't you?
I don't know. Maybe.
Let's
Maybe
get
in the
into
spoilers,
it
yeah.
later.
So yeah, I think, okay, so we're going for 6, 7, 7. That is our scores for 28 years later.
We did it.
We did it, yeah. So I think let's get into the meat of this a little bit, and we'll go into the spoiler section now. So as always, this is your spoiler warning.
Spoilers ahead.
So I've got a question for you both. First of all, the tagline of this film is... What is it?
Look
I
at
didn't hear anything.
Time didn't heal anything.
Yeah.
Tulip
So-
wrote this on the poster.
Yeah. So the tagline is, time didn't heal anything. Do you think that tagline actually means anything in the context of what this film is actually about?
No.
Because I don't.
No.
When I saw that was the tagline, I was like, hang on a minute, did I watch a different film to what was advertised? Because and that's very similar to 28 Days Later, because you watch the trailer for that and it's just absolutely mental, and you would not think that you would get the film out of it from the trailer, and in fact it's all similar. But I was like, that tagline, that is just nothing. But anyway, I answered my own question by just talking over you, so sorry about that.
I mean, you could arguably say it's because like the virus has been around for 28 years, so time didn't heal the virus. Or
Maybe?
like did time
bit loose, though.
But then it's like they have like a fully functioning society in this like, secluded part.
Yeah.
So it's not like, the world is still in ruin. Like there was a brief spell of like absolute chaos, but these people have managed to make do with what they can, and they managed to rebuild like a civilization almost.
And the rest of the world is still okay, because they do kind of, and again we'll get into it properly, but everything that kind of happened in 28 weeks later kind of gets just like written out of existence a little bit. So it's...
I think they say they pushed back.
Yeah.
They managed to push the
they
invasion
pushed
back
the
in
virus back, so it didn't.
Europe.
It didn't break Europe and break the rest of the world,
Yeah,
the same
'cause
as it did in Britain.
I don't think that's like the most game-changing thing. I've seen people complain about being like, oh, so 28 Weeks Later was a complete like waste of time then, or like, oh, it's not canon now. It's like, well, no, they are saying it is canon. It's just obviously this is a British-based film. To kind of bring it back to its roots, they've just said Britain got the virus first. It went to Europe, got pushed off of Europe. Now Britain is just in quarantine. No one goes near
Forever.
it. Yeah, like I think you're not discounting 28 Weeks Later and saying, well, that was a bad film. It never happened. It's like it did. It's just obviously
I think that they can still take a few like creative liberties with it, though, can't they?
I mean, they even show clips from 28 Weeks Later in this film, like when it's the Boots poem. They're cutting between like the sniper bits when they're like trying to shoot the zombies in the crowd.
Yeah, they do.
So like it's like, oh well, they're not, again, you're not writing out of existence. You're using clips from the film for like, for God's sake, like what, like I don't agree with that sentiment.
Oh, you feel very strongly about that, don't you?
Yeah, because people, if you could do 28 Weeks Later Paris edition, can't you? It's not that they,
Paris edition.
that could be a film. It's just like if people are going to kick up a fuss, do a film about how it got pushed off of out of Europe.
Yeah,
then.
I get you. I get you. Yeah, but I just thought that was it. But I still don't think that time heals anything. I forget what it is. Time didn't heal anything. It doesn't fit with what the actual
that's fair enough.
What actually happens in this film.
Yeah, that's all I can think about is if it's the virus and like maybe it's human nature or something like that, but it's not apparent, is it?
It's not absolutely.
It's an
apparent,
abstract
no.
tagline.
Yeah, and I don't really like abstract stuff. I just like I'm not. I don't have to have it all spelled out for me, but I don't particularly like abstract stuff. I just can't be bothered.
It's not like Ray Fiennes is going to turn to the camera and be like, "Well, I guess time didn't heal anything." In his Ray Fiennes way.
Yeah.
But to go through the plot, again, kind of beat by beat, or like the big moments. So, as we said, the plot follows Spike, and then he has this, from the offset, like he goes on this mission with his dad, Jamie, to the mainland, because they have like this rite of passage thing, where it's like you have to go to the island to kill an infected, and then you're like heralded as a hero, or whatever, you pass the test.
Yeah.
So they go there. We actually saw a 5-minute snippet of this scene when we saw 28 Days Later.
We did.
So thankfully, I think the only jump scare that would have got me, I knew about, because it's when the fox
runs out.
Yeah.
It's always the little things.
I don't like those jump scares
Like
because
loud.
it's literally, it's not scary in any way whatsoever. It's just loud.
It just makes you jump,
And
literally.
it just like leaves a sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
It's like every time it's like, well, it didn't need to.
Yeah,
to.
that
Like,
was
a
a bit
fox is not
pointless.
going to make that much noise.
Yeah.
When it goes past.
I mean,
Yeah.
they do make a loud noise, but
There's kind of two in
Not
a
when
row,
the
isn't
skull
it?
in pie.
There's like two in a row, because it's like the fox does it, and then there's like a crow in the house that like flies by the camera. So like it's kind of, they go for the same thing. It's like, you fool me once, shame on you, you know.
Fool me twice,
Yeah.
shame on you.
Exactly. So their mission is to go find some infected. So they found some in a forest. So this is again like a divergent of the rage virus. It's this like slow.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
Like these slow moving ground feeders, basically.
Yeah.
Who like crawl around. They're blind? Question mark.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, because I think
Because of the scene where like they were both sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he like feels a shoelace, doesn't he, and tries to eat it.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, so Spike kills one of them. That's his first kill. Obviously, good shot, Spike. And then they move on. They find this house. They explore the house. Not a lot really happens apart from they find this like upside down infected with like scarring on it. So it's kind of like, oh, what's going on here?
Well, it's a man who'd been left to get
infected, yeah.
to the infected.
Yeah.
So he was a human, and then he got infected,
Yeah.
and that's why he's hanging there upside down.
Yeah, exactly. And then they kind of exit the house. They go exploring a bit, and that's when they find like a clan of them, basically. Which again,
Yeah.
that's a cool shot. When it's like them looking over the hill, and then they see one, then there's two, then there's
Well,
three.
that's when they see the alpha, isn't
Yes.
it? So in the film as a whole, there's these like different breeds or variants, you could say, of the virus and different ways that people have been infected. So there's either these big slow ones, or there's the alphas, which are, you know, as you would expect, alpha
Like a
male,
Viking.
you know,
Like a
yeah,
7-foot tall.
exactly,
beast of a man.
yeah, big beasts. And then they have a lot of little followers that, you know, kind of like tag along with them. And then there's the ones that are like starved, so they're like really skinny, but you
Yeah.
know, they're just kind of adapting. So it is interesting to see these kind of different layers of how it does,
It is cool.
you know, survive, you know, and the virus
Yeah.
obviously it's always trying to survive, and it's always adapting, you know, it's just like flu, isn't it? You know, it changes. It's just exactly the same as with this, but just to an extreme level.
Yeah, and then the alpha as well. I feel like that's the scariest infected in the film, because like basically they give chase. Like the alpha sends a bunch of them after them. They run back into the house they were in. They fend them off, get into the attic, and they have to hold out the night, basically. But you see like a shot of like the alpha like just stood on the hill. I really liked that. And it's like he's not moving. He's just waiting for them to get.
He's just wait, and that's the
move.
scary thing about them is they're smart. You know,
The alphas,
they can plan. They're skilled. You know, and so he's literally just waiting for them to have to come out of this house at some point, and that is very weird. And I do think that the bit that follows that is probably like the best, almost thrilling part of the film, where the house kind of starts to fall down for whatever reason.
The deer go by, like hundreds of
Oh,
deer.
I thought that was a dream.
No, that was hundreds of deer go by, so upset that...
I thought that was like a dream state. Okay, anyway.
Well, Spike is dreaming at the same time because he's asleep. Isn't he?
Yeah. There's quite a lot of like dream sequences in this.
I will say that
weird sequences.
That was cool though, like the red night vision stuff they did with the infected, like when it's them killing the deer, and that was really cool. Like again, visually, like looks creepy, and it's just shows the alpha looking scary because they're like, you know, he kills this deer, rips its head like clean off its body, and like impales it on a tree because that's like one of their first like, oh no, we're in a bad place right now. Something unexpected did this to this deer.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, continue with the...
Yeah, no, thank you, yeah. So anyway, when the house starts to crumble, they obviously have to leave, and this alpha has been waiting for them, but he's not to be seen at that point, but they just start running back towards the causeway, and obviously it's the threat of, you know, the causeway, the tide is still in, so it's not completely uncovered. So they're running through this kind of like waist deep water, which we all know is incredibly difficult. And then all of a sudden, you know, the alpha appears and he's just running, you know, like
was he
normal.
running on the water? Or
no,
was it just...
he was running through the water.
Yeah, so I couldn't tell for a shot. It looked like, has he got his feet on the water?
He's not.
Jesus.
Yeah.
They look like it with the beard and stuff. Yeah.
With the beard. continued.
Yeah.
One of them was called Samson, so it's like biblical, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what they said, like a lot of religious imagery.
Yes.
Anyway, so he's chasing after them, and it's just very tense because, you know, they're running and then they fall and, you know, classic stuff, and then they're chasing after him, and then Aaron Taylor Johnson, what's his name?
Jamie.
Jamie is shouting, going, there's an alpha. So everybody kind of on the watchtower wakes up, springs into action. They're getting, like, you know, the arrows, bow and arrows out, the big crossbow,
thing.
but like
Yeah.
flame, you know, to try
Yeah.
and kill it as that. So, but they're firing all these arrows, and Spike and Jamie just have to kind of like drop, you know, so as not
Yeah.
to also get impaled by the arrows. So that's probably the most tense part of it, and I did really enjoy that section of it. I think that's probably the scariest part of it, but it's not
Yeah.
fear of, you know, it's like just anticipation and, you know, you're on the edge. You were on the edge of your seat, I think, during that scene.
I'd
So
say
that was
so.
probably my favourite scene out of all of it, I think.
Yeah. Like the opening half an hour, 40 minutes has like the action set pieces in it, really, with like Jamie and Spike's adventure. But then they go back in. They have like a congratulatory party for Spike. He's not that interested. Sees his dad cheat on his mum. His mum's obviously ill, so he's just like, oh. And he speaks to, I assume, his granddad about
Yeah.
Dr. Kelson, because they see like an echo of like, they see this fire basically, and they're like, what's that all about? And Jamie says, oh, I don't know. Don't ask me about it. And then his
Yeah.
granddad tells him, oh yeah, it's Dr. Kelson. He was a doctor before the outbreak happened.
But then he went insane.
Yeah, went insane. He burns all these bodies. What the hell's going on? So Spike, thinks, oh yeah, I'm going to take my mum to go see this doctor.
Because the side plot that then becomes the main plot is that his mum, Isla, played by Jodie Comer, is ill. In some way of description, she's ill. She's confused. She's got really poor memory. She's tired. She's got a headache, you know, all these different things. And they're obviously looking after her. So he's very close with his mum. And then he realises that actually there could be somebody that helps. So he just takes it upon himself for him and his mum to just go on this quest to find Dr. Kelson. And that's the second part of the film. That's kind of the next piece, that's the next quest and the next part of the film.
Yeah, so to kind of not go into like too much detail, they obviously go on this journey. They do run into infected a couple of times. They have a close call with the slow moving ones, and then like Isla kills one. They run into the skinny one in a field, gets dealt with pretty quickly. Then they have this altercation where they go to like a gas station. They get chased into it by these infected, and that's where they meet Swedish man
Eric?
yeah.
Yurik.
Yeah. We'll let you say it every single time, and then I'll just call him Eric.
So they bump into who's this Swedish soldier, because they have this bit basically where it flashes to, it's in the trailer, where there's these soldiers in a tunnel and they're getting chased by infected, and that's when the nut Samson shows up and kills a whole bunch of them, like pretty brutally. I thought for me that bit was kind of I didn't really need to see it. Like, I don't think it added a whole bunch other than showing Samson's, like... But then also, you know the alphas are bad, you know?
I think it's that Samson then tracks them because he shows up at the train afterwards as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I didn't know whether that was to do with... Because they meet him in the gas station. They meet Eric, in the gas station. And then they go further on, and basically they find this train, and then Isla, again in like her confused state, goes onto the train, and she finds this infected, pregnant lady. So then you get this scene where basically, even though obviously the rage virus turns you into a monster, like because she's giving birth, she still kind of needs that support.
Help.
So they like link hands together, and Isla helps her like obviously push and all that, and then like delivers the baby. But obviously she's infected, but the baby isn't infected.
Very
Well, that we know.
interesting. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because obviously what we know from 28 Weeks Later is that there's carriers, you know, people that don't appear infected, but they carry the virus. So I was thinking, somebody's going to, you know, whatever with the baby, then the baby's going to start infected. I thought that was going to be the plot, but obviously we don't really know what's happened with that. There wasn't really any way for, you know, to to contract the virus from the baby at that time, you know, because
I mean,
it wasn't bleeding or
yeah.
anything, you know. It's very interesting, like, biology in a way as to whether that would happen.
You also don't know whether it's, did she get bitten when she was pregnant? Did Samson like impregnate her? Is it the infected breeding? You don't know.
Yeah.
Because they don't go for the 28 weeks thing where it's like one eye's different colour than the other. Like one's got the rage virus, the other one doesn't. So you don't know whether they're doing the carrier thing. But seeing this baby obviously came from an infected lady who is then killed by Eric. Eric freaks out. He's like, we need to kill the baby. We need to kill it. Like, what are you doing? It's infected. It's a zombie. But then Samson shows up, kills Eric, like, again, just rips his head off. You don't see it, do you? You just see his head drop down into the hole. They get chased by Samson, but then they're saved by Dr. Kelson, who basically knocks him out with, like, a morphine blow dart, which was cool.
Yeah, it's a good introduction for him, I think. It is.
I mean, again, like a plot, I don't know if this is a plot hole or like why the logic, but, you know, Samson's right there, just cut his throat, let him die.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't just end him, but also I think that Dr. Kelson, you know, with how he is in the world, you know, I don't know whether because what he was saying is that his kind of thing is that obviously he's a doctor and these people, they're not zombies, they're not dead people come back to life, they are humans that became infected with a virus. So I think that he finds it difficult to just be like, right, okay, well, if anybody was infected with anything else, I wouldn't just kill them, you know. So I think he finds that difficult, I think. They don't like addressed.
Expressly, I mean, yeah, he does value both lives the same, doesn't he? But they don't like, it's not like he says, oh, let's kill it, and he's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah, for this reason. You kind of just assume that, don't you?
Yeah. But they basically go to the Bone Temple, which is this shrine that he's erected, because earlier on they say he just gathered a whole bunch of bodies, he burnt them, what's he doing? But yeah, he's just erected this temple, and that leads back to his phrase, which is memento mori. Memento mori. Yeah. So remember death. So again, it's the shrine to death, basically. But also, you know, to commemorate all these people who died, because they take Eric, like you get this weird scene where like he basically cleans Eric's skull off to then put it on the shrine, which again, the kind of comedic, but then like just so weird,
and all of that I was quite enjoying. Like, it is weird and it is odd to see stuff like that happening, but at that point I was thinking, oh, you know, actually this is quite good, you know. I don't feel, you know, offended in any way. I thought it was like an interesting story.
Why would you feel offended?
People were sort of feeling offended about the rest of the film, but at that point I was feeling like pretty good about it. I was thinking, oh, actually I'm enjoying this film at that point, you know. That's kind of how I was feeling at the time.
Do you think practical, making a bone temple, how long do you think that would take? I mean, obviously 30 years apparently.
Well, the guy's been by himself. He's going to be bored, isn't he? Maybe initially it was just like, you know, just like a little, you know, like a little wall, like maybe like knee high, and then he was like, oh, I've got to do something with these skulls.
Yeah.
Make something cool.
May as well.
All of the things around him is just like they're like bones and stuff. Like the rest of them.
Yeah. But there's always going to be somebody like that, isn't there, in the apocalypse, I think?
There's always going to be a DIY person, isn't it? Yeah, crafty person. So they go. Obviously, this is where the whole point of their trip was finding a doctor. So they asked Dr. Kelson what's wrong with Isla, and that's when they get the diagnosis that she does have cancer. Obviously, it's spread throughout her body. That's why she's confused.
That's what they're surmising, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. Obviously, they've got no scanners or like
there's nothing that they
can
do, is that? But you know, when that's just the assumption that you make, and that's
also going off like 2002 medicine, aren't you? Like you could just be like, it's cancer, maybe. Yeah. You know. But basically that's the grand thing is like, yes, she has cancer and she's gonna die soon.
Yeah.
So that's when like the emotional stuff picks up in the film, because it is basically Isla, you know, wants to die, basically, to like say to kind of, I don't know, it's more probably for herself, probably for Spike, it's a little bit of everything. So Kelson helps her like subdue Spike, like he just does the morphine thing with him, so he's just like paralyzed, and then he takes her off to basically kill her, and then brings her skull back to Spike to put on the top of the bone temple.
Yeah, which and again, this is where it's kind of like, it's supposed to be this beautiful thing, you know, or this beautiful piece of writing or story about death, you know, and that it's still a part of life and stuff like that. And I do find it interesting. And literally when I was watching it, I was literally just thinking, how do I feel about this? Like, I don't know whether to think, oh no, that is really beautiful, or no, actually I don't quite like that. I do think that it's a little bit sort of unnecessary for her to like have cancer, you know, like I just think it is a little bit unnecessary, but that's only because of my personal experiences with it. So it's harder, you know, to sort of hear those stories. But I do think that it's kind of interesting in a way, and I do think that it is kind of beautiful in a way as well, but it's just like, it's just a little bit, you know, I wouldn't put myself through watching that scene again. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to know or watch that or, you know, experience that again.
Did it land for you? No? What were your kind of general...
I mean, I just didn't really have much of an opinion on it. It just kind of happened. It was a part of the story. I mean, she was obviously very ill, and, you know, cancer is... I mean, not to get like, you know, very doom and gloom, but that is like, you know, 1 in 2 people get cancer. So now that we're in a world where people are able to survive these 28 years later from the apocalypse, you're going to start seeing these very, you know, destructive diseases occur in people. So maybe it's kind of highlighting that is now, you know, something that will happen like again, and that's something that people will have to consider, because we're now in a stage where we are surviving past the actual outbreak.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
But it just, you know, it was a part of the story for me. It didn't land emotionally. Like, I didn't feel like, oh, you know, that like times in my heart. Like, you know, it was part of it. I mean, it kind of took away for a lot of it for me as well. I mean, the image, I don't know if you can see it on the camera there, but he is climbing a thing of skulls. That's such a strange thing to like initially, this is the first like interaction you've had with the infected, like maybe a couple weeks ago, and now you're climbing a literal tower of skulls. And, you know, he's not really thinking too much about it. He's put his mum's skull there, who just died the day before, and he's like, yeah, like,
well, not even a day before, like it's like literally like
hours.
Not even. I suppose actually he had to clean the skull, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got to wear off from whatever, you know, morphine he was under as well. So
I just feel like that took very much away from any kind of emotional response, because there wasn't, you know, any kind of lingering on it. It was just like, okay, we'll move on straight away.
There was a reaction of somebody actually in the screen in the cinema, and he basically was just kind of like, oh God, like laughing, but saying, oh God, at the same time. And it's almost like, you know, when somebody tells like a really offensive, funny joke, and you're kind of like, oh, I'm kind of like laughing at this joke because it's funny, but also it's like really offensive and horrible. So you're like, oh, everybody's just shocked. I think it's more like shock. It's just like, oh my, this is heavy. Like, it's heavy stuff. You know, this isn't just like some, you know, 2-hour, you know, fun, scary film with zombies running around and they're all going crazy. This is like heavy themes that we're dealing with here. And it's not for everybody. You know, not everybody is going to want to see that. You know, for some people it will probably be a little bit triggering, but for some people they just won't feel anything. Some people will think it's weird. But I suppose that's the same as all human experiences. You know, some people think that what people do is weird. Some people think it's normal, you know, so maybe that's what they're going for, but I don't really know, you know.
No, obviously it did land for some, it didn't land for others. Like, you do,
it is literally just like Marmite. You're either going to watch it and you're going to think, wow, that was so poignant. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh my God, that was so beautifully written. Or you're just going to be like, I don't know. You know, I think that's divisive.
What didn't help either is that scene happens and then 10 minutes later it is met by the ending of this film.
Controversial ending. Let's talk about it.
Which, to give you a quick little snippet of what this ending related to, I'm going to lead to a letterbox review from our good friend Isaac.
Oh.
Who scored this film Jimmy Savile out of 5.
Oh dear.
So, what that means is, obviously, Isla dies. Spike puts her skull on top of the bone temple. He leaves Dr. Kelson, takes the baby back to his settlement, basically leaves her on the doorstep. So then it cuts to Spike on living the land, cooking some fish.
Is he in Cheddar Gorge?
I think I heard someone mention that.
Oh, maybe he is.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Because I thought when I was looking at that looks like Cheddar Gorge, but they were very far north for the majority of the film.
Yeah.
So how he
I don't know.
walks 500 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. He's there, and then basically infected start chasing him, and he is saved by this crew who are dressed in tracksuits with blonde hair. Mm-hmm. They're called the Jimmies, led by a guy called Jimmy. Jimmy Crystal. Sir Jimmy Crystal, I think, is the character's name, played by Jack O'Connor. Connell, I think. Connell, yeah, Jack O'Connell. I knew about this before seeing the film just because social media, again, literally, I think I scrolled up once, it said Jimmy Savile cameo in 28 years. So I was like, what the hell is this then? So that very much watching it, I was like, so somehow from where we are at the beginning of this film, Jimmy Savile is going to show up.
Yeah.
Not that it's again, a direct Jimmy Savile is with them. It's just they're dressed like him.
They never say, "Oh, I love Jimmy Savile, so I'm here."
Yeah.
But it's
no one
implied.
goes, "I'll fix it for you."
Yeah, that was my joke. That's what I said when we came out of the screen.
Too slow.
Goodness me.
So they meet this crew and basically he's like, "Oh, hello there, I'm Jimmy. Let's be friends." Shake hands. Cut to black. That seems very weird. I don't know what you.
No,
guys
hang on a
thought.
minute. They don't just see him and then shake hands and then cut to black. There's
a lot of backflipping involved before we get to that
Yes,
point.
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, all the Jimmies are ninjas, basically. And
so
they
stupid.
all are fighting and they're flipping off of rocks and, spinning off of rocks. And they've got these, wooden tools, that they're fighting with. And there's this rock music playing all over it. So it is literally just a completely different 5 minutes of the film. It is literally so random. I can't even believe it. And I don't know whether it's offensive or not, or whether actually it's kind of interesting that, probably if it was 2002, nobody would have known how prolific a creep he was. Nobody would have known, and he was probably still very adored at that point by a lot of people. So it is very interesting to think, but also just the way that he was introduced and the fact that it's this rock music with fighting ninja style.
Teletubbies. I'm pretty sure they're saying the Teletubby names in the rock song that they're playing.
Well, can we just confirm that, because I don't remember.
Believe they were, yeah.
Right.
I think I know the song that they were singing then. I can't remember it from when we were watching, but from you saying that, I think I know the one that they're doing. It's a very heavy metal Teletubbies.
I thought that, but that's in Dick and Dom and the Bungalow, so
Is
I couldn't
it?
believe it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Tinky Winky, Dipsy, La La, Pow. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, is that what
Is that what
they?
they're
were they
taking
using
it
that?
from?
I don't know.
We're
But
gonna
it sounded
have to
like they
No, we've
were.
got to Google it and
Yeah,
come
we have to,
back.
yeah.
We're gonna have to. You're gonna have to
Yeah.
put some text
But
over.
it's-
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird music choice. Again, I have to especially go from the violin music of this eyeless death scene to
go from
the
that to that
Jimmies.
is just wow, this is absolutely insane. That's why
Yeah.
I said it's one film, great film, and then it's this weird thing happens at the end of
Yeah.
it. It's almost it should be an post-credit scene. It's just so random.
the Jimmies will return.
Yeah,
In
literally.
28 years later, the Bone Temple.
Exactly, and this is the whole point. So they're setting it up because that's what the second film's going to be about. It's going to be about these group of people called the Jimmies, and obviously we don't really know much more than that at this time.
Yeah.
But that's the entire second film, which has already been filmed and is releasing when? January
so
next
next
year.
year.
Already, and I just think, oh my god, that is my brain can't keep up.
I want to see where it goes, especially because the one thing they keep saying in interviews is that this first film is about family, the themes, and then the second film is about evil. So obviously, if it's going to be this cult, or again, just human evil in zombie media is interesting, and I like that.
I think the more that I've thought about it, and knowing that this isn't the end and there is a whole other film about this, I'm kind of thinking, actually, are we going to look back at this in like 20 years time,
Or
28
in January.
28 years time.
No, yeah, 28 years time. And think, oh, can you remember how mental it was when
Yeah.
we went into the cinema? But actually, there was this really great second film which was about them, and it's really interesting and whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if it's just going to become incredibly, incredibly interesting.
It needs good payoff, I think.
Yeah,
For as sort
yeah.
of insane of a thing it is, I think it needs a good payoff in the second film. Like,
Absolutely.
and I don't know whether it needs to go somewhere, so it's not just we dress these guys like Jimmy Savile, that's
For
it.
nothing.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, there's like theories online about, obviously they're called the Jimmies. Cillian Murphy in the first film was called Jim. But then I
Is
feel
that
like
all
they
Lincoln?
kind of not ruined it, but because Danny Boyle in all the interviews has been like, oh yeah, Cillian Murphy, he's a producer on this film, he's in the second film for a little bit, and then he's the main person in the third film. So he's not. It's not like they're going to turn up in the first 5 minutes of the Bone Temple and be like, here he is, here's Jim, and then it turns around and it's
him,
and
you
it's-
know,
yeah.
he's the whatever leader of
So
the
I
clan.
don't know. It's kind of like how Jim's going to fit into it. I mean, is it a strong coincidence that, yeah, here's this group called the Jimmies, there's a guy already called Jim? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
They're
don't
probably
know.
piecing it together
They're
themselves.
gonna show like a flashback too, because obviously Jack O'Connell's character was in the beginning of the film. He's the kid, like when the outbreak first happens. It's, I don't know, they're gonna do a flashback where it's just him, like obviously in the early days of the outbreak, and he's just gonna watch TV, and then Jimmy Savile's gonna come up, and he's gonna be like, yes, I'm gonna like base my whole identity.
I don't know.
Or
I
like,
don't know.
oh, you know, all of, you know, like some sort of like, he was a comfort to me in like these trying times, like watching Jim Will Fix It or something
Yeah.
like that. Like, you know, that's what I mean. It needs to go somewhere where like it can't just be like, oh, why are you dressed like that? Oh, I don't know, just feel like it. you know.
Yeah. No, there's definitely, and there will be purpose to it, like because they know that they can't, you know, just do stuff like that. You know, surely. Yeah.
What did you think?
Of that entire
Yes,
crazy, like, fever dream.
yes, that's a good description for it.
Yeah, I mean, it really took me out of the whole. Well, even like up to that point, like everything had been very consistent. Where, you know, there was a threat of these zombies. These people do not seem to have the threat because they're using like blunt weapons at like very close proximity. Where if a drop of blood gets in any single
Yeah.
orifice at all, you turn within like 15-20 seconds.
Yeah.
They were like slicing open like necks, so like blood was going everywhere, and you know, like towards these people, but there was no threat of they're going to get infected because they were just jumping around doing ninja stuff.
Yeah.
And that really took me out of it. So if that's how the next film is going to be, I know that I'm really not going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that was like a, you know, Spike is a kid, so he's seen all these people show up, and like this is like his image of like how they did the fight. Maybe that makes it more like realistic in my head because he is a child, but also he hasn't had those kind of
It's not like he's been daydreaming.
illusions.
Yeah.
Like throughout his childhood, like he's not been watching cartoons to be able to see that. So I don't know whether that would really work either. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if they go very hard on, you know, the corrupt, like what can happen to the human side of things, and like a very evil underworld kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, that I might enjoy. If they go, we're evil, but we're also ninjas. Look at us kill these things.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like it.
Gonna
at all.
train Spike up in like the ninja ways. It's gonna
Yes.
become like a samurai, like a
Yeah,
battle at the
yeah.
end of it.
Like there are times and places for that. This is not it.
Yeah. And that's what it felt like. It was just like, whatever, if you want to do this, fine, but not right here, right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is just totally out of place and out of tone for the entire rest of the film. It's just
It's definitely,
insane.
it was the thing that's, I think, for, I don't know whether I speak for you guys, but that's definitely the thing, like, when we came out, it's like, did we enjoy that? Because that almost derailed it.
Yeah, it literally did.
Yeah.
I could have made peace with the entire film and been like, right, okay, that bit was a little bit, I don't really know whether I like cared for that or whether that like spoke to me in the way that they expected it to. but solid film.
Yeah.
And then literally that fact, you leave the cinema and that's the only thing that sticks in your mind. It's almost like you forget the entire rest of the film because you're like, what on earth have I just seen and sat there for 5 minutes? Like, what was that?
And I do wonder, because obviously I think the kind of narrative online is that American audiences aren't going to like get the reference. So I feel like it's a cool idea, but it does require you to kind of not to say like research and stuff is bad, because it can be interesting, and like kind of watching explain videos is a good way to like get stuff you missed and all that kind of stuff. But if you kind of have to be like, what the hell are they dressed like? Who's Jimmy Savile? What is all this context? You know, it just, I don't know if it worked in that respect. Because again, British audiences, you're going to be like, oh my God, like, that's so shocking. But like, even then you're like, why are they doing that?
See, I don't mind it because part of me does think, so what? You know, it's for British people. It's made in Britain. You know, it's not British people, and it's a British director. It's a British writer. So what if they want to put British references in? They wouldn't think twice for American films to put American references, but we would probably get them anyway because, you know, it's so big.
Yeah.
So unless it was like a country singer or whatnot, because we wouldn't care. But, you know, it's like, but I don't mind that so much. I don't care about that. But also, I feel like I can't be a total hypocrite because a lot of things that are bothering me about cinema and film and TV and stuff at the moment is the amount of exposition in it.
Yeah.
So it was good to have the complete opposite of that. You know, and you're just thinking for yourself and you're just making assumptions for yourself and you're just thinking, oh, what were they trying to do here? Or what do you think they were going for here? And it creates all this discussion. And I respect it for that.
Yeah, I get you. I respect that point. Yeah.
No, well done. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for
Good
agreeing
point,
with me there.
Tula. Good
Do
point.
you agree with me as well, Kieran? Come on.
No.
You're allowed to disagree with me.
I just thought the entire scene just ruined what could have been up. Like, if they just ended it at that point and then just had, like, maybe that scene that they had there is the trailer for the next one. Like,
do you know, they literally should have released it on, like, YouTube or something and just said, oh, do you want a sneak peek of the next film? Everybody would be like, oh my God, yeah, and it was just that. And people would just be like, what on earth is this? Like, I have to see that film now. But I suppose it creates the same thing because now we know another film is coming. You're like, oh, I kind of want to see, like, where this goes.
Yeah, I think it was the ninja thing more than anything else.
Yeah,
if they had, like, all stood there and been, like, you know, like, fought these zombies, you know, use the bags. I think the bags was a good thing, you know, because that, like, shows that they're thinking about it, like, not getting blood on them. But then they ruined it afterwards with, like, the way that they were killing them.
The logic of the scene.
If they were brutal but smart and not ninjas, then maybe I would have, like, thought the scene overall would have been more comprehensive and, like, a little bit less whimsical.
I think you could have almost done it in a way that, like, he gets ambushed and then, like, in the chaos of everything, like, you don't see him being like, boys, get ready to attack these zombies, and then it's like, go, 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 and then they do the flips and all that, but then maybe, like, you know, Spike's there, it's like, what's going on, and then suddenly, like, a hand reaches out, picks them up, and then you see, oh my God, they're all dressed like Jimmy Savile.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, you're right there, son, like, kind of thing. My name's Jim. And then he looks around, they all look the same. It's like, oh, like that kind of reveal. I get what you mean. Like, just the actual, like, flamboyancy or, like, the over-the-top nature of it does take you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
But that's it. That's the biggest thing, is that ending. It's just how divisive
that's all
it was.
everybody's talking
I don't
about,
know if, to kind of pootle over to my letterboxed corner. So obviously Isaac gave his stellar review there. He hasn't given a score. He's just
well, he did give a score.
Yeah, to take that as you will. Jimmy Savile out of 5, whether that is.
That must be bad.
Yeah. Ray Fiennes is so damn orange in this film, I thought he was the Lorax. There's a swear word in there, but I'm not going to say that. And it's the most terrifying and unsettling thing about this movie was seeing those Teletubbies. That's a 4-star review. I've never expected to be so deeply moved by a movie that also has huge naked guys doing Sub-Zero's fatality to people. So, and here's an interesting point, maybe to cap off this review. 3-star review. The trailer set the bar too high.
Oh my God, it totally did. 100% it did. We've not even talked about this. There's so much to talk about because, again, the trailer. It's like that's not what I was expecting to see. Like the trailer made it look so good. Like honestly, I was so excited, and it's so freaky with that. And they do have the. Why are you?
Kieran can't speak because he's not seen the trailer.
I've not seen the trailer, but I just tease it, so it's like I can't remember what it's from. But I'm so excited. But I don't know what it's from. I just have this image.
Cat in the Hat.
That's it. It's Cat in the Hat.
Oh my god!
I'm so excited.
No, I don't want any Cat in the Hat references, please.
Yeah.
Goodness me! Cat in the Hat. Jesus.
Yeah, so I've got nothing to add to this conversation about the trailer, but it must have been really good if you're...
Well, anyway, it's a good trailer, but the thing is, it's the Boots poem that is like everybody should probably knows this already, but basically this poem was written about war and the monotony of war and how it can basically drive you insane. And they're playing a sound recording that somebody did back in like 1915 of somebody reciting this poem, but in a very, real way. And that's played over the trailer, and just that sound in and of itself is just so unsettling. Again, I use that word. It is so freaky, and it can. I mean, you said that you like what did you do? You had to watch. You watching the trailer or something the other day, and then I said, "Oh, can you go up in the loft?" And you were like, "No, I can't go up in the loft."
Yeah,
I've just been listening to this poem.
Yeah.
You want to see something in your peripheral vision or in the dark.
Yeah.
So freaky.
Well, when you hear about it being like used for like army training, like if they did like
torture.
Like torture, like interrogation training, they just play it on loop to get you like used to it.
Yeah,
but it is like
I don't think I've heard this part.
It was in the movie.
It's in the but it doesn't hit as hard in the film.
Do you know when they're like leaving the settlement to go to the shore and there's that like montage?
And it's like 5 and 20 miles today.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
okay.
that. It doesn't hit as hard in the film.
Like, dissociating during that bit.
Okay, yeah, it doesn't hit as hard, and it's kind of cut with other images of like war, so like soldiers marching or like medieval soldiers with their bows and arrows. It's really like
28 weeks later, that's where the footage for that comes in.
Yeah, it's all these kind of like different clips while this kind of poem is being recited, I guess, or why this kind of like recording is playing in the background, and they're also trying to find that way. So yeah, it's creepier in the trailer than it is in the film, which is a shame.
I have to show you after the recording is.
Yeah,
I found that that whole segment really weird when they were like putting in those clips like just randomly. It felt very like chaotic in
it's probably meant to be, isn't it? Yeah.
But like not in a way that made sense.
I think the film for us missed the mark in terms of making us feel how it
the emotions it was wanting.
So probably in that moment you're meant to be like, oh my god, they're going to the mainland, what's going on? Because it's a good poem, and it is like, especially when it gets to him actually shouting, and it's the whole
it's awful, Kieran. It's awful. In fact, let's not even listen to it. I don't want to listen to it. I shall leave the room and you guys can listen to it, because it's really weird. And like that kind of like
crackle.
I was going to say the timbre, but I don't think that's the right word, of like somebody's voice from that time of like a old films or something, and he's like he's rolling his R's as he's speaking, and he's like very well spoken as he's reciting this poem, and all of it together just adds to this really, really unsettling experience.
It's like that. It's I think it was Alex Garland said in an interview, because it's like that style of English you don't hear anymore, like the accent, because it's all like 7, 6, 5, 11,
like an
22.
old radio. When you listen to like clips of like World War II and it's people announcing stuff on the radio, it's literally that kind of voice.
It's good, yeah. So that was 28 years later. Have you guys seen it though? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is there any other zombie films you want us to review? We're happy to watch some zombie films, so do let us know your suggestions below. In the meantime though, we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Cinematic Trinity podcast. I've been Michael.
I've been Kieran.
And I've been Tuna.